Before you take a sip of your coffee, or your boba, or whatever you are snacking on right now, I need you to picture two men. On one side, we have Ronald Reed. Ronald is, how do I say this? He is a ghost. He is a gas station attendant. He is a janitor. He spent his entire life plunging toilets and sweeping floors in Vermont. He wore flannel shirts. He chopped wood. He was the kind of guy you would walk past and never look at twice. And on the other side, we have Richard Fusconi. This guy? Oh, he is the main character. Harvard-educated, MBA, an executive at Merrill Lynch. He was so successful in finance that he retired in his 40s just to be rich and famous. He had the mansion, the cars, the ego, the whole package. So, if I told you that one of these men died with an $8 million fortune, and the other one went completely bankrupt, lost everything, humiliated, broke, who would you bet on? You would bet on Richard, right? The Harvard guy, the math genius. But you would be wrong, because when the janitor, Ronald Reed, died, he shocked the world. He left millions to his local library and hospital. And Richard, the genius executive, he filed for bankruptcy the same year Ronald made headlines. How does a janitor beat a Harvard executive? It is not a scandal, it is not a scam, and it is definitely not because the janitor was secretly a math wizard. It is because of behavior. Welcome to the twisted, fascinating, and slightly terrifying world of The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. Listen, this book, it is not about math. It is not about stocks. It is about your brain and why it is secretly trying to sabotage your bank account. Morgan Housel, the author, he basically says that finance is the only field where an uneducated janitor can beat a literal scientist just because he has better emotional control. You cannot do that in medicine. You cannot do that in engineering. If I tried to build a bridge, I would kill people. But in money, soft skills are king. So grab a snack, get cozy, and let's dive into why we are all a little bit crazy. The first thing we need to talk about is this idea that no one is crazy. I know. You look at how some people spend money and you are like, girl, what are you doing? But Housel says your experience with money makes up maybe 0.00001% of what has happened in the world, but it makes up 80% of how you think the world works. Think about it. If you were born in 1970, the stock market went up tenfold when you were a teenager. You are optimistic. You think stocks are magic money printers. But if you were born in 1950, the market went nowhere for 20 years. You think the stock market is a scam. Neither of you are crazy. You are just traumatized by your own history. We are all just victims of when we were born. And speaking of being a victim of circumstance, let's talk about Bill Gates. Okay, I love this part. This is the chapter on luck and risk. Did you know that Bill Gates went to one of the only high schools in the entire world that had a computer in 1968? The chances of that were 1 in a million. Literally. If he had gone to any other high school, there is no Microsoft. But here is the spooky part. Bill had a best friend in middle school. His name was Kent Evans. And Bill said Kent was actually the smartest one in the group. He was going to be a partner in Microsoft. They were going to rule the world together. But before high school graduation, Kent died in a mountaineering accident. The odds of dying on a mountain in high school are roughly 1 in a million. So, Bill Gates experienced 1 in a million luck, and his friend experienced 1 in a million risk. Same magnitude, opposite direction. It just goes to show you, when you see someone super rich, do not just assume they are a genius. And when you see someone fail, do not assume they are lazy. Sometimes, the universe just flips a coin. But let's get into the tea. Let's talk about the villains, the people who didn't know when to stop. Chapter 3 is called Never Enough. And this is where the true crime vibe comes in. We have Rajat Gupta. He was the CEO of McKinsey. He was worth $100 million. 100 million. That is enough money, right? That is generational wealth. But he wanted to be a billionaire. He hung out with billionaires and he felt poor. So in 2008, right as the market was crashing, he learned that Warren Buffett was about to save Goldman Sachs. It was insider information. And instead of just being rich and happy, Rajat calls his hedge fund buddy and buys stock before the news breaks. He made a quick profit, but he went to prison for insider trading. He risked everything he had and everything he needed for something he did not have and did not need. And that is the scariest trap of all. The goalpost moves. You get the house, you want a bigger house. You get the car, you want the faster car. It is a sickness. So, how do we actually get rich without going to jail? The answer is boring. It is so boring, you might cry. It is Chapter 4, Confounding Compounding. Let me ask you, how much is Warren Buffett worth? Like 80 billion? 90 billion? Did you know that 99% of his wealth was accumulated after his 50th birthday? I am serious. If Warren Buffett had started investing when he was 30, instead of when he was 10, and he stopped when he was 60, you would have never heard of him. He would be just some random rich guy in Omaha. His secret is not that he is a genius stock picker. His secret is that he has been doing it for 75 years. He literally just waited. Shut up and wait. That is the lesson. But getting money is one thing. Keeping it? Oh, honey, that is a different beast. Housel says, getting wealthy requires optimism. You have to take risks. You have to believe, I can do this. But staying wealthy requires paranoia. You have to wake up every morning terrified that it is all going away. This is the story of Jesse Livermore. He was a trader in 1929. The day the stock market crashed and people were jumping out of windows, Jesse came home and his wife was crying. She thought they were ruined. And Jesse was like, no, baby, I just shorted the market. I just made $3 billion in one day. He was a legend, but he was addicted to the risk. He thought he was invincible. 4 years later, he lost every single penny. He took his own life in a hotel room. Because he knew how to get rich, but he did not know how to stay rich. He didn't have a survival mindset. And survival is the key to everything. You need room for error. You need to plan on your plan not going according to plan. Because, and this is Chapter 7, the highest form of wealth is freedom. It is not the Ferrari. Actually, let's talk about the Ferrari. The man in the car paradox. When you see a guy driving a Ferrari, do you think, wow, that guy is so cool. I want to meet him. No, you don't care about him. You think, wow, if I had that car, people would think I am cool. But here is the irony. Nobody is looking at you. They are looking at the car and imagining themselves. Housel says, wealth is what you don't see. Rich is a current income. Rich is the guy driving the Ferrari. Wealth is income not spent. Wealth is the option to buy something later. So, true wealth is actually invisible. It is the money you did not spend on the car so that you could quit your job if your boss became toxic. Money's greatest intrinsic value is its ability to give you control over your time. So, how do we wrap this up? What is the takeaway for us, regular people who just want to pay our rent and maybe buy some nice skincare? First, be humble. Luck plays a huge role. Be nicer to yourself when you fail, and be humble when you succeed. Second, save money. You do not need a reason. Just save. Save for the unknown, because the world is chaotic and surprising. Third, stop moving the goalpost. Define what enough means to you before you let the world decide for you. And finally, remember that doing well with money has a little to do with how smart you are, and a lot to do with how you behave. So, here is my question for you. What game are you playing? Are you trying to look rich, or are you trying to be wealthy? Are you taking advice from day traders when you're a long-term saver? Money is messy because we are messy. Be nicer to yourself. Save your money even if you don't have a reason to. And just stay in the game. I want to know in the comments, what's one reasonable thing you do with your money that might not be rational to anyone else? Let's talk about it. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you want more bookish deep dives. I'm Amethyst, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.